All the world's a stage, and all men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. When we were little, Mother used to make us porridge every morning. Sunday through Saturday, New Year through Christmas, every day. Normally it would just plain, get a good bit of roughage in us. But on Christmas Day, she'd sprinkle a bit of sugar on top. Just a little treat. Loved Christmas growing up, me. Mother used to always take us down local rep to see the panto. She liked the Princess once, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Love Conquers All, that sort of thing. There was one year they did Jack and the Beanstalk, and she refused to take me. I remember I said to her, well then why can't we go see Jack and the Beanstalk? And she said, Jack and the Beanstalk sends the wrong sort of message. That has all the wrong sorts of aspirations. I don't know. He still looks like a goose, doesn't he? Jack. Yeah, I think that's what she were on about. Worrying to come up as some sort of prolific poultry rustler. Honestly. She liked to take me to Christmas Eve performance. Make it a bit more magical. I always wore a magic mind. I feel it in the air. Tingling down your spine as the curtain goes up. And on comes the dame with the rouge on her cheeks. And the fairy godmother in her lovely pink dress. Throwing glitter over herself to stage, and half the front row make it seem like fairy dust. And then Mother would take us home and she'd put me to bed, and then I wake up the next day and she'd give me porridge, and I watch her sprinkle the sugar on top. And that's what she'd call it. Fairy dust. Mother can't really be eating porridge much these days. Can't keep it down now. Could barely be doing with toast now. In school, I had this English teacher, Mr. Longwood. Loved him. Biggest moustache you'd ever see, very well groomed. He had this way of talking about books and poems and plays that could just make you feel like you were living in them. When I was 13, we were coming up to Easter break, Mr. Longwood asked me. He had this very deep, respectable voice to Mr. Longwood. Put your mind on something here on Radio 4. He asked me, Mr. Atkinson, might I inquire as to your plans over the break? Now, Mother and Aunt who lived out Morecambe way that we normally had gone to, but she died autumn previous, so we were rather at a loss as to what to do with ourselves. So I remember I just said to him, I don't think I've anything on at all, sir. Well then, might I present you with an opportunity? I was rather impressed by your recital of that Wordsworth piece that you gave in class this past Wednesday, and it sowed the seed of an idea in my head. Now, I would rather intrigue of what this idea might be myself. Mother normally liked to dismiss ideas coming from academics as communist plots, and she wouldn't have been soothed by the fact that he had a moustache like Joseph Stalin. Anyway, Mr. Longwood's idea was that I take part in a school performance of A Midsummer Night's Dream. Now, I were a bit of a swot in school for me sin, so I readily agreed. Mother a bit irritated that I hadn't consulted her before I went off to join the communists, but nevertheless, over the Easter holidays I went to the rehearsals and they were all right. I didn't think much of it beyond getting me and Mr. Longwood's good books. Anyway, I came to the performance, evening of. It was one of those dues where anyone could come along and see. And I walked onto that stage and something happened. I don't know what, but something did. I felt like my chest doubled I played Peace Blossom, a fairy in the court of Queen Titania. Only a small part, only a few lines, but it were enough. Enough for me to feel like I'd finally come to life. I remember the feeling distinct. I thought, yes, this is it. This is it. And when I got home, I did tell Mother this. I said, Mother, I want to become an actor. Oh, she weren't pleased. Laurie Atkinson, it is unbecoming spending your whole life pretending to be someone you're not. I wish I'd said to her, Mother, I wouldn't be pretending to be someone I'm not, I'd be being myself. I don't know. Maybe if she'd actually been there to see me, she'd have understood. And for a while I held it against her, her not coming to see me. But I don't know. I couldn't know. Not when I weren't there for her when she got her news. Rather strong, these. The tend to send Mother a bit doolally. The nurses say she's getting weaker. They've been so good to her, honestly. Your mother's been sick 5 years now. And for 2 of those years we managed perfectly well on our own. But then, eventually we had to bring a few people in a couple of times a day, help them with bed and bath and the like. Then past few months the palliative girls have been in, and like I said, they've been good as gold. You know, at the start, it took a while to accept that we needed the help. But then you eventually realise that it's the best thing you can do for her. I think I felt I owed it to her to do as much as I could for her, you know? I left home after I'd finished with school, you see. I had to, for myself more than anything. Didn't go too far at first, just into Manchester. Lived in this tiny little flat. I was doing stagehand work on the side, you know, try and get my foot in the door. And doing the odd extras role. I ordered a pint of Rover's Return once. After a time I moved down to London. Started working in a little shop, you know, put a bit of money behind me. Kept going with the extras roles as well. I felt like chancing me on, I put myself in for the odd guest role. The leader for feeling cheeky. One day, out of the blue, I got a call off Mother. I'd just come out of this audition for a comedy programme BBC were wanting to make. We're only a pilot, but producers thought it was promising. Anyway, she tried to call me a few times already, but she finally got through. I've got a little bit of cancer, there's not much doctors can do about it, unfortunately. They say I may well have years, but you know what medical professionals are like, they tell you Easter when they mean Lent. Turns out she'd already known she'd had the cancer for a year. And liked to disclose her private medical details to me, and now she weren't coping very well on her own. Anyway, the moment she said she were ill, I decided to be going back up north and to be staying put. For as long as she needed caring for, I'd be caring for her. And of course she's gone on and had 5 years. I suppose I am glad I've had the extra time, really. I had to give up the acting professionally. Not stable enough for a career. Working in office now. If there's anything that really bothers me, it's that. Especially considering I had to turn down that role. Oh yes, producers called me up a couple of days after Mother told me she was ill to offer me the part. But Mother came first, so I declined it. Mother has been decidedly perkier these past few days. Full of the gab. She'd managed some porridge this morning. Asked for seconds and all. I even sprinkled a little bit of sugar on top. The nurses say that means it really won't be long now. That when someone in Mother's position is coming towards the end, by the grace of God, they're given the chance to feel truly alive again. The surge is what they called it. They made it sound so lovely. I had to give up the acting when I came back up to care for Mother, and between her and the office I've not had an awful lot of time for much else. Until, that is, last year. I started going to this little Andram society around All Hallows time. Mr. J, long-time friend of the family, runs the bakery 2 streets over. They do a lovely tiger bread. He invited me. I said no initially. I didn't like to leave Mother on her own longer than necessary, but Mrs. J offered to sit with her for a time. And, well, when you do what I do, and you get the chance to perform, your blood pumps a little bit faster. You get this little twitch in your neck, this little niggling feeling. The bug, the acting bug, at least that's what I think it is. I've been going since then, and honestly, I feel like I've been giving my life back. I've not had much of one these past few years beyond Mother, and now I've got my characters to live. We're doing As You Like It, Shakespeare. I've always liked Shakespeare, ever since we did Midsummer Night's Dream in school. I'm playing Jakes. Miserable bugger, but I suppose I am as well sometimes. Everything I feel, he feels, and vice versa. And everything feels so real. Sometimes Jakes feels a little bit more real than Laurie does. Mother passed away at 7:32 this morning. Mr. Day just called about an hour ago to offer his condolences and to tell me not to worry about tonight. It's our opening night of As You Like It, you see. He said the understudy could go on. I said no. No, the show must go on. Because I am Jakes, and Jakes is me. He didn't seem completely convinced. But I was firm and I stood my ground. I said, no. No, you will not take my new beginning from me. Because to do so will be to take the clothes off of my back, the breath from my lungs, the beat from my heart, to leave me with nothing at all. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything.